Hey guys, very important video that I want to make today. I think it's an urgent one. I keep seeing people doing the wrong thing. They're doing a water taper. And I know what kind of water taper they're doing. It's usually the linear 300 mil, take 1 mil every day kind of water taper, that the micro taper that people are talking about. And people are saying, oh, it's more gentle, it's easier, things like that. All of it is completely false, in my opinion, and I'm going to explain why. So the first thing you want to understand is that when you take 1 mil out of 300 mils every day, you're doing a linear taper. Linear tapers are just not right. In those groups, in all the groups, and in the nice guidelines and all of those things, the taper should be exponential. By exponential, I mean you take out between, well, the guidelines say 5 to 10% every 40 to 28 days of the previous dose. This is so important, of the previous dose, not the beginning. When you do 1 mil out of 300 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4, you basically take it a milliliter amount of, that it's the same out of the original dose, which is a 300 mil. Okay. So what it means is that in the first month or the first 28 days, let's say, you're taking out 28 mil out of 300 mil. That's just a little bit off 10%, a little bit less, okay? Which sits in the middle of the range that we have of between 5 to 10% every 40 to 28 days. So in this case, it's 10%, a little bit less than 10% every 28 days. Then you get to the middle, okay? By that time, 150, you take out 28%, that's just shy of 20% off. So, and the equivalent of maybe 10%, around 10%, it's all around 10% off every 14 days. So that's right now you're already at the basically the fastest you can go according to the recommendations. Okay. And you probably would feel that you're going faster just by the side effects becoming worse potentially. Some people can do cold turkey. Remember, it's not one fits for all. But if you are completely okay, then probably that was always the case that you could go so fast. So you basically wasted time going slower. See what I mean? And now the once you get to like very little, like let's say a quarter, so you're like, let's say the 80 mil, you left with basically 80 mil, and you take out another 28 over the month, you're basically reducing by more than 25%, like 27% or something like that. That's really, really fast. And that's when people really struggle. And a lot of people are like, doing this, and then at the end, they're just miserable. You don't do that. And the other thing, no, the second reason, the micro taper bit of it, okay? So in my system, like in my free Google Sheets tool, you can do a micro taper of 1 day, like every day reduction, which is hyperbolic or slash. I don't want to call it hyperbolic because you know what I think about Mark Horowitz' book, but exponential. So you can still do it like of the previous dose. So 0.4% every day of the previous dose. We're talking with percentages. Now it's hyperbolic again of the previous dose. Okay. But still I wouldn't recommend it. Why? Because when you're doing a taper from something like diazepam or clonazepam, which is what usually people recommend, and most people are coming off those drugs. Even if they took Ativan, they would sometimes switch to the longer acting benzos, just so that they don't have to take the drug 4 times a day, just maybe 2 times or even once, like I did at clonazepam. And that's happened to me. So I have real lived experience with it. I did a microtaper of every day at the beginning. I thought my false thought was like that I can trick my mind, my brain by going every day instead of like a big cut, just doing tiny cuts. What happens in reality? And mind you, I did exponential. I did, like I said, I didn't do linear, so I was already one step better than the normal one. Um, what happens is that you basically don't know that you went too fast or that something happened, and it's usually like with diazepam, sometimes people, like if you would do cut and hold, you would feel the effect only maybe a few days, sometimes a week, sometimes even 10 days after. I know people that feel it 3 days after, and some people said that they feel it 10 days after, but it's not immediate. And so what happens is that if you go too fast or something happened or you got sick or anything like that, something that destabilized you, you would only know about it usually a few days after, to a week or 14 days or something like that. And then it's too late because you don't know what caused it. For first thing, you might be something that has nothing to do with the taper itself or the speed. And the second thing is that what do you do now? Like, do you just stay on it? Do you up those a few days back? What do you do? And everything that you would do would also affect only like 8 days after sometimes. So sometimes it will be like within days you'll feel better. Or if you hold it, sometimes you will only feel better in like 8 days, which happened to me. I had insomnia for 8 days, even though I was holding really bad symptoms and insomnia and like night terrors and all of that. And I was still holding. So I suggest, my suggestion is always to do basically to cut, see how you feel after a few days. You'll find your rhythm, how your metabolism works. Within a few days, you'll know if, you'll find the peak of like, if there is a peak, if you feel any side effects, and then it would subside. And once you get to the point where you feel just like you did before that cut, that's when you could continue. Okay. So it might be 10 days for one person, it might be 7 days for another, it might be 20 days, but that's what you need to do. That gives enough time that you know that your brain and your CNS in general, because it's not just your brain, you have gamma receptors everywhere in the body, uh, basically adjusted, and then you can continue. And that's the best way to do it. Just logically think about it. You heal and then you continue. You heal a little bit and you continue. If you keep doing it while you feel worse and worse, then you're not doing yourself any favors. You're basically just making it harder for your body to heal, I think. That's my opinion. The last thing, of course, is the fact that it's water taper. And if you're going to do the liquid taper, it's not the last thing actually. There's another very important thing, so there'll be a fourth. But if you do a water taper, when you put the pill in, even if you crush it, even if you make it into a powder, it would not be soluble in the water most of the time. Most pills will just, you know, it won't dissolve. It would be like suspended, and because of this, the powder or whatever it is will just fall down. It's usually, if you don't powder it, you will actually find that some pieces are bigger, some pieces are smaller. That's what happens with water. If you want to go this, and it's very hard, even if you shake it or you, especially what I did, the mistake that I did is I used just a spoon to like, get it to, be what I thought would be homogeneous around, in the water. And it's not. Like it's the centrifugal force pushes it to all sorts, like, and it goes in the middle. There's more, and then you need to like very quickly within a second or two max to draw the right amount outside, out of it. It's very complex. It's not accurate at all. I don't recommend it. The other thing you can do is milk. With milk, you have 3% milk. The fat would dissolve it. I showed there is a study. I'm going to link it again here. And then, but it's only for diazepam. It's also only for the type of diazepam that they use. So I'm not 100% sure if they use the pill or they just use, literally diazepam, the active ingredient by itself. But they could show that it does actually, most of it, not all of it, but most of it will dissolve in a certain temperature, like room temperature, in the milk. And then again, you need to be careful because I once heated milk with that diazepam, and I'm pretty sure, not diazepam, clonazepam, but I'm pretty sure that I ruined the active ingredient and I had a setback, a big one, because of it. So it's very complex. And the fourth and very important reason is because this is gold. Your benzo, the amount that you have is really important. The doctors, we already know a lot of doctors don't even understand. They don't want to understand some of them. And they're like, let's do a quick taper, or let's do a linear taper, or let's cold turkey someone. Unfortunately, some idiots, and I know that it's not a nice thing to say, but they're like, how can you call someone like a doctor that cold turkey someone against all recommendations? So yeah, so you depended on it. This is a drug of dependence. You're now dependent on this drug. Your body needs it to function. You reduce it very slowly because of that. So if you for any reason don't get the drug, and it could also be something that has nothing to do with the doctors, like in Australia, I think only next month in February 2025, from what I read a few months ago, they're going to start having clonazepam available again. There's only one company here that gives clonazepam, and if you'll see if the groups, a lot of people say that even if there's a few brands in your country, if there's sometimes they switch you from one brand to another. That just happened to me with the paroxetine. They switched to another, Chemist Warehouse, the big pharmacy here, switch from one brand to another, the generic brand. And luckily enough, it happened to me. But I know that last time that I switched myself, because I started to buy from a different pharmacy, I felt it. And now nothing happened. I also think it's a stabilium, because I keep taking stabilium, and I have sometimes I even miss a dose and I don't feel it, and that I missed a dose. But generally speaking, uh, yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to upset the apple cart. You want to keep it all stable. Okay, so as much as possible. So if you with the clonazepam, the Paxam, the brand that we have here, stopped making it. There was a lady in one of the groups that basically was in a lot of stress because of it, and she tried to get help. And I actually sent her a message and told her I still have some available if you want, if your psychiatrist agrees, or then I can send him like a closed package, and he can give it to you, because of course it's not legal for me to do something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's very stressful. And so when you do a water taper, the sun is in my face. I don't know how to fix it, guys. This is Queensland for you. Here we go. So when you do water taper or milk taper or whatever, you get rid of what's in the syringe. Basically you get rid of stuff, and of the water or the milk or whatever it is that has the pill in it, and you don't use it. Normally the instructions are you get rid of it. With water, maybe you could keep it for a few days. I don't recommend it, but maybe. It's a big maybe. And with milk, of course, you can keep it, because it's milk. It goes bad. So you basically waste the pill. You waste your active ingredient. You want to have some stash on the side, just in case what happened, what I just said, can happen as well. So to you somehow. So yeah, so that's why I don't recommend it. Please, please, please do dry taper. I have a video that explains. Hopefully, it will be linked here. If not, it's in the description, and you can do a dry taper and do an exponential taper. And my taper is completely free. If you need one-on-one help, I do it for a very cheap price. And yeah, and you can always talk to me in the groups. I'm not going to say that you have to make an appointment. I will explain if you need an explanation. But if it's something longer and you want someone to actually hold your hand through it, then talk to me. I'll see if I can help. Like I said before, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health professional by trade. I'm going to be, but at the moment, it's very important for me to help as many people as I can. So always consult with a benzo-wise doctor if before you do any changes. What I'm saying is based on lived experience and a lot of research. So please, I hope that you would listen and do the right thing. Have a very good day, guys. A very good night, and I'll see you in the next video.